Welcome back in, guys, to Gators Talk. I am your host, millionaire trader, Alex Jenkins. So, guys, we'll be listening to the quarterbacks interview from Saturday, and we'll see what these young guys have to say. These are the first interviews for these guys, so we'll see what we get from these guys.
And just from the jump after entering the portal, it was such a different process for a kid that went through recruiting before, like all the changes that came with college football. So
That's Graham Mertz right there.
Just my family and close circle. It was gathering information and then making the best decision for me and taking a look and just really seeing what that best fit was. And I came down here and I mean, you fall in love with the weather, you fall in love with people, great coaches, great teammates. I love the direction that Coach Napier is taking this. And it's a program, it's a setup that is it's a pro program. You know, I mean, you could take program, but if you capitalize the pro, that's how he runs it here. So, really, just from the start, fell in love with this, and I knew this is the place where I wanted to be.
So it was the entire package, rather than there was one thing you could point to in the transfer portal that you were looking for the next step?
I think it was at the point in my career, it was the whole thing, and I mean, it was a no-brainer. Like I said, as soon as I came down here. I took a quick visit, and I knew getting on that plane back that this is where I wanted to be.
What do you think Billy looks for in a quarterback?
I think he just looks for, like, everybody kind of has that cliche quarterback, but it's a leader, someone that can make their teammates better and can do their job so well that it frees people up to play free. So that's our job as a quarterback. That's what our whole room is set out to do every day, and he does a great job of reminding us of just like the little things we got to do. Just to really make the team better, you know what I mean?
Did you feel like a change of scenery was something that you wanted, needed? I don't know. For
sure. I mean, I started a lot of games. I think it was like 30, 32, 34 games in Wisconsin. Love that place, love those people. But I mean, I was at the point in my career where I needed a fresh start, and I was excited for it. So it's really refreshing to get down here and get going. But yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
Your first start, I mean, after that, like going up against Illinois, you had a great game, and then did you feel a bunch of pressure after that, or I mean?
No, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I got COVID right after, like the day after. So it was you go from that, your first start, living out your childhood dreams, to get hit with COVID right in the face. So you get that smack of reality. But I mean, never really had any that external pressure of expectations. I mean, for me, it's just doing my job every time I'm on that field. And I think like this sport in this position, you can simplify it to that and just go out and execute.
So you were billed as this passing savior of that program. How did you internalize that? Because you said you didn't feel any pressure, but so how did you not feel that pressure? Because you were like the guy.
I think I owe that to my parents. I mean, from just how they brought me up, just humble beginnings, never letting anything get to either my head or my sister's heads, or really just keeping us as a close family and having that rock. I mean, I never place value in expectations or any of that, because I know that in my process, in my journey, if I do my job every day, then good things happen. If I don't, then good things won't happen. And I think that for me, having that, just kind of having that foundation that my parents installed for me, I mean, I think that holds more weight than anything, especially in a society like today that there's so many external things that and that's why parents are so big.
So coming here, really, there you went with all the expectations. Well, here it's sort of different. You're coming in really having to prove yourself again.
Yeah.
I mean, is that better in a way?
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Speaking of proving yourself, obviously the competition with Jack, how's that been this spring and just going against him throughout camp?
It's been great. I mean, I wouldn't say people always say competition's going against people, but I think that we're pushing each other to be better. And that's one thing that I appreciate a ton, that he's helped me out on just little playbook things that he kind of took and when he was learning it. So I mean, our goal is to make this team as good as it can be, and we're pushing each other each day to do that. So I mean, I've loved everything he's done, everything that we do every day. We work together every day for hours. So it's we're doing it together, and we're doing it for this team. So I think that people always make these to be against each other, but it's the furthest thing from that.
Talk to us about your jersey number. Is that temporary or is that permanent?
I mean, that was coach's decision. I mean, I just think I've always been 5. I mean, I was 15 growing up. Sisters have been 15. Mixing in family and the history, I mean, that's the number.
Sorry about that, guys.
So you wanted that number and you
thought I
embraced
had a
it.
glitch. No, it wasn't a glitch.
You don't feel the pressure?
Didn't get to see much of you last year because of the injury, and then we got you in the bowl.
Jack
Where
Miller
were
right
you
here.
at in that game,
The third.
health-wise, and it didn't seem you were probably yourself, having spoken to people from your past and what they expected.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I was pretty healthy, but I mean, not taking reps all season and then getting tossed in the fire. I mean, it was definitely good for me to get my first start under my belt, and yeah, it was just a good experience for me, I think.
Okay,
What do you take from
where do
that?
you come? Yeah, go ahead.
What'd you take out of that?
Just a lot. I mean, I finally got to play in a game and see what it's really like to start in a game, prepare for a game, and yeah, it just really took a lot from me. It kind of fueled my off season. I figured out where I needed to work on all off season really, and what I need to get better at.
Like what?
Like just preparing mentally, defensive recognition, speeding up my footwork. Just game speed is so much different from practice speed, so just really getting used to all that stuff.
What do you see in this kind of competition with Graham? It's like Big Ten South suddenly. Right?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's been a really good competition. I mean, we both embrace it, and Max as well. We all love to compete, so it's been a really fun spring so far.
What was it like going through that injury last year and just having to be sidelined like that?
I mean, it definitely wasn't what I wanted or what I envisioned happening, but I mean, you live and you learn. I mean, I learned a lot during that time about myself and about my work ethic, so it was definitely good for me.
What do you specifically learn about yourself when you're, I guess, the game's taken away?
Yeah, just how much you really want to be out there and how much you shouldn't take it for granted, honestly.
Were there any quarterbacks you heard from, anyone who'd gone through a similar injury to what you've gone through, who maybe reached out and gave you some guidance and advice?
Not necessarily, but Coach Napier actually has a guy who's pretty close with Drew Brees, and Drew Brees had a pretty similar injury to me. I don't know if it was the exact same one, but it was pretty close. So really we just followed all that stuff that he did and a lot of the rehab stuff that he did. So it was pretty good. It was a really good connection. We followed it basically to a T. We added some more stuff in it because I think mine was a little bit worse than his, but yeah, we followed it pretty closely.
Was the injury worse than that? 'Cause at first it was like he may be back for game
Yeah.
2, then it just kept going and going, and then
Yeah.
the season was gone. I mean, what was the initial diagnosis and what were the setbacks? You take through the timetable.
Yeah, so initially it was a torn UCL, but there was a fragment of my bone that chipped off with it, so which made it a little bit more complicated for them to kind of connect it all back in surgery. So really the hardest part was just getting it, like being able to bend it and all that stuff. It was really hard to get back to like full capacity strength and all that stuff.
How
How
frustrating?
tough getting the grip all the way back on the ball? How
Yeah, that was the hardest thing to get. I mean, that probably took anywhere from 7 to 8 weeks to really be able to grip a football like as how I wanted to. But yeah, we're still working through it and still getting better.
How frustrating was that? Just for
Yeah, it was
to
definitely
lose
difficult
that?
for me because I want to be on the field. I want to play football, so it was definitely a challenge for me mentally. But I got through it.
And you had to start out with like some youth-size balls.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was throwing a youth ball for probably 4 weeks on the sideline during practice, a little tiny ball. So kind of it was a little weird.
People waiting to see Jack Miller all season, and it finally did. But was there a feeling that they're not really seeing the real Jack Miller?
No doubt, yeah, it definitely was not the performance that I wanted or how I envisioned it going at all. But, I learned from it a lot. And like I said, it really fueled me this offseason. I mean, I've been pissed about it since it happened. So making sure it won't happen again.
Was there anything in particular that, you really wanted to focus on and work on between now and spring?
Really just the timing with all the receivers. I mean, Ricky coming back, that was huge for us. So really getting on the same page with him on every single route. And really just a lot of the other guys too, like the freshmen coming in, just I want to be on the same page every single play with all of them.
It seemed like in the bowl game you did have a little bit of timing with Ricky, though. Was that from your Arizona days and stuff? Or
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, I've known Ricky since I was in 8th grade, thrown with him, and yeah, he's a really good football player.
What was it like playing with Anthony last year and just the season that he had?
It was awesome, and Anthony's such a great guy. He's such a good teammate too. So it was really cool seeing somebody perform at that high level and still be able to act the way he did towards all of his teammates.
Were you able to stay engaged just like in his process of being a starter and kind of learn from that?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I learned a lot from Anthony. I mean, the way he attacks the work, the way he prepares for games, really just because I was able to sit back and watch because I wasn't having to prepare necessarily, but I just wanted to really see the process and see how he does it. And it was really impressive to watch all year.
What have been the message from the coaches as far as the competition? Like, what are they looking for? What do they want in a quarterback? Have they told you?
Just consistency, and I mean, it's an open competition, so whoever does the best, that's who it's going to be. So.
What was your reaction when you heard Graham was coming?
I mean, I embrace competition. Like I said, I love it, and I mean, it's just going to make all of us better. So there was really no reaction. Just come back and compete.
Did you know him or know of him?
Yeah, I knew of him, of course, but I didn't really know him personally.
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on him and just what he brings to the position, his skill set?
He's a really good dude. He has a really good arm as well. So it's really cool to see somebody. He has a lot of experience as well at Wisconsin. So it's really cool to really learn from somebody too, because he knows a lot.
How much more comfortable do you feel?
It's a lot different, like you said, a lot of comfortability. Getting in and being the second year, being in the program with Napier. I think that's really played a role coming into it, being more comfortable, making plays, being able to play fast, play my game. I think that's really the part I've played coming into it. I think that's really been the most important thing.
How would you describe your skill set? I know you said playing fast, but what are the strengths that you can bring to an offense?
Just being able to make all the throws on the field, being able to hurt the defense with my legs. I feel like that plays another role coming into it. Just being decisive, making plays, being a playmaker. You know, like I said, being able to throw the ball down the field, I think plays another big role.
Take us back to your decision to come here and just having to make that switch from Central Michigan and just what went into that for you.
It was all a fast switch. It was all a fast transition coming in here. Me and Coach Napier kind of clicked right away. Me, Coach Napier, and Coach O'Hara. Those are some of the guys I really looked up to and helped me on a big portion of my transition coming into it. Those are some of the guys I really look up to. I think that was really the big thing, being comfortable with them and being able to settle in and feel at home.
Was that a tough conversation?
I think just kind of the way we think. Is very similar. Two competitors that want to compete and win. I think those are kind of the big things coming into what you want to see coming into it as a Gator. You want to come win games. I think that's where we came in with the same mindset. Want to come and change the program around. Two first-year guys coming in, me being a freshman and me coming in with his first year. I think that's really what we saw coming into it, as being two guys that want to compete and win games. So.
What was that conversation like with Coach Mack, who used to coach here?
It was okay, man. He was understanding. I think he kind of understood coming into it what it was, because I kind of popped some offers more towards the end of my recruiting. But he was understanding, man. Mac is a great guy, and I don't take anything away from that program. They're a great program too, but it was a really good fit.
How are you handling your spring schedule? I mean, you're still a full-time student and a two-sport athlete now.
Yeah, just really time management. Time management's the biggest thing. Just what am I doing at this time? Scheduling. When am I at baseball? Communication's a real big thing. And Coach Napier, Coach O'Sullivan were really flexible and really good with the scheduling side of it. Coach Napier really got my schedule solidified, really coming into it. With Coach O'Sullivan was really understanding. Them two being at Clemson together was kind of another big thing. They had already had past experiences with each other, so I think going into it was kind of a easy transition into football and baseball. So
Do you have any downtime, or are you like sitting in the clubhouse over at Condren watching film on your iPad?
I think the downtime's kind of limited, but I mean that's what I do, man. I love it. I love moving around and being and going and doing two things, man. That's what I love.
What does it mean for those guys to afford you that opportunity to play both sports, and especially at the quarterback position?
It's more than an honor, man. I mean, them having the confidence in me to be able to go out and play two sports is kind of a huge honor, huge role. Not a lot of guys get to do it, and I really was appreciative of that coming into it and understanding that this is a big task and a big role. But I think they both understood and knew that I was ready for that task, or they wouldn't have put it on me. So I really thank both of them for going and giving me that task, and that, because having a competitive nature, you want to be able to go out and compete and play two sports. I think that's what they saw.
What do you want to show this spring, and what are your goals? Or what do you?
Just to keep showing people that I'm here to compete, man. That's what I love to do. I think, like I said, playing two sports has always been a competitive mindset of mine. I've always been competitive. That's how I've been raised. But I love to compete, no matter what. That's what I love to do. No matter what circumstance I'm in, I'm gonna compete, and I think that's what I really want to show.
All right, guys, those were the quarterbacks. Graham Mertz, Jack Miller III, and Max Brown. Guys, we have a quarterback competition going on right now, and the guy that everyone's not talking about is Max Brown, the guy that Billy Napier actually brought in as a recruit. The other two guys are just transfers. I think Max Brown is really competing. I think baseball is really helping him, not hindering him in this competition, because he's more prepared. He's been working in baseball as far as conditioning. He's already conditioned. His arm, he already got reps at his arm, so he's already ready. He's ready to go right now. And Jack Miller, I think he's the last guy on the depth chart as far as the scholarship quarterbacks go. I think the battle should be between Max Brown and Graham Mertz. Everybody else is talking about Jack Miller, the third, and Graham Mertz, but I think it should be Max Brown and Graham Mertz, just by looking at the minimum footage that I have, and he just clearly looks better as a player. It's clear within that little bit of footage. You think you can't tell the difference between a quarterback when they throw the ball? I've seen it. I'm looking at it with my own eyes. It's totally different. Max Brown has a stronger arm. He's placing the ball in a better spot than Jack Miller. I think Graham Mertz have a better arm than Jack Miller as well. So I think the competition should be between Graham Mertz and Max Brown. Jack Miller, he can work his way back into the rotation, but he had to perform better. So, but those are guys. That's what those interviews. They say they're in the competition, and they're welcoming the competition. They're learning from each other. So those are quarterbacks, guys. It's all about the orange and blue.